I think one of my greatest abilities, and I think one of the greatest abilities of people, is being a listener. And so I'm always observing, I'm always listening, I'm always, looking out for new ideas. So when I'm quiet, I'm usually thinking, And my grandma told me this a long time ago, and I'll never forget it, bless her soul. She said, when you speak, make sure your words count, and people will listen. And so I just try to make my words count when I speak. And I never wanted to be a speaker, man. It wasn't like I grew up was like, that's my goal, I want to be a speaker, Nah, it wasn't that. It was, we can get into this story, but it was me losing my NFL career and kind of getting forced into a stage that I didn't want to do it, but my friend forced me, and I found my power in that moment. It was like, dang, this is what I was created to do. Like, I really knew it. You know that feeling? So my friend, his name is Jonathan Evans, and he reached out to me and he talked me into it, man. And I was like, he used the notion of, are you scared, this whole process? And I was like, it's just 5 minutes. And when you first start speaking, 5 minutes seems like 5 hours. So I said, you know what? Let me do it. I said, I can go up there, talk about sports. They'll think it's cool, and I'll get off the stage. So that whole night before, I prepared it like it was literally a rap verse. I knew everything. I was like, I'm gonna hit him right here. I got it memorized. I am good. So I get to the event, and I'm backstage, and Jonathan comes up to me. He's like, are you scared? And I was like, yeah, bro, I'm really scared right now. He was like, man, don't worry about it, man. They'll love you. They'll love you. He's like, plus you have your tattoos out. They'll just relate to you. I think you're a rapper anyway. So I get on stage, and I remember looking out, and 5,000 kids were looking at me and gave me that look. In my eyes was like, what is this guy about to talk about? And I literally grabbed the microphone and I went blank. I forgot everything I prepared, stage fright. And in that moment, I remember telling myself this, you got a choice right now. Either you can fold or you can step up. Either you can sink or you can swim. And I just said, go from the heart. And it connected with those kids like I've never seen before. Those kids were quiet, their eyes were big. After I got off the stage, they were asking me all these questions about life. I'm like, I don't know everything, like what? And in that moment, I was actually supposed to go to New Orleans the next day for an arena football. I'd signed with him, and I said, you know what, I'm not doing it. And I called the coach, and the coach, he literally hung up in my face. He's like, what are you gonna do? I was like, I'm gonna be a speaker at rehab time. He was like, what's that? And I was like, just gonna be a speaker, man. He hung up quick. It's like, good luck, and he hung up. And then I called my friends and my mom, and those conversations didn't go like I thought they would go. They wasn't, my mom, she was supportive, but she was worried out of protection. And that's when rehab time started. I didn't have any followers, and I walked into my purpose that's really stepping out on faith and fear, and I did it. And as a speaker, your job is to be a servant. Your job is to go out there and serve them. Stop worrying about how you look, how you sound, and get more into serving. And so I would tell myself, you're being selfish right now. And I was like, I don't want to be selfish, And so even when I'm scared or I have fear, I'll go to the point where my kids, I'll go there. My kids depend on you. I was actually running today by Runyon Canyon. And I was like, if I quit on here, I'm quitting on my kids. It's just things like that keep me pushing. As a sports player, I think it comes from that background.
Why do you think it's important to move towards things that scare you?
Because on the other side of that is your growth. On the other side of that is strength. Even in going through pain, I look at pain as a positive thing. I'm not talking about putting yourself through pain on purpose, but it's just like working out. The only way you're gonna get strength in your life is if you go through that hard moment, that tough moment. I wouldn't have a story if it wasn't for the sucky times in my life. I wouldn't have a story if it wasn't for me going through my depressed moments. So realize this, just because it's a chapter, it doesn't mean it's your whole story. So for me, I just understand that it's very important to embrace pain, to go through it, because I believe the foundation of all strength is pain. For me, it was all I ever wanted and knew. It was like no other option for me. So that's the powerful thing about tunnel vision, is that when you really focus on something, you really want it, it's very possible. But the thing is, a lot of people aren't willing to go through the hard times, put in the work when nobody's looking. I think I tell my son all the time, I'm like, okay, you went to track practice, but guess what? This is something that everybody does. What are you gonna do that your teammates aren't doing? Because you don't have to just be the best on your team, you gotta be the best in your city, the best in your state, one of the best in the world to be able to make it. So it's a whole different level of commitment, and that's where that championship mindset, it came to me from. Leverage that I use with my supporters is, at the end of the day, people say, Trent, you changed my life. And I'm totally against that. Like, I didn't change your life. I'm not a life changer. I just plant seeds. Like, you had to make the decision to actually apply and actually do it. But I use the leverage question of, when you get to your last day on earth, when you're sick, are you gonna look back and realize that you wasted your whole entire life settling for less, not being who you're created to be? And even with myself, like, I don't wanna look back on life like that. I don't wanna go to my grave with incompletion, so I talk to them like that. Some of you are gonna go to your grave site with incompletion. I don't know who said this quote, but they said, the richest place in the world is in the graveyard. And it's true, because there's so many dreams, talents, and visions in there that people, for whatever reason, fear, just life, they never unwrap those gifts. And when I talk to them about that, I used to actually, this might seem weird, but I used to actually go to the cemetery.
Really?
Yep. And I would bring one of my friends with me, and I would say, bro, we walked around there, it's like, this is reality. Like, we're gonna be here. And we walked around and we looked at the tombstones, and like, death has no age. There were people that were 3, people that were 80. And it's like, I'm gonna be here one day. And when I'm here, I wanna have a fulfilled life. I don't want people to talk about me at a funeral and make up stuff. I want it to be like, Trent really served this world, and he really used his life, not just for himself, but to impact other people. And so I know I go back to leverage, but I'm big on that. And that like flips the switch for me, like, time is ticking. And so you either can waste your day or you can do something with it. And there's a quote by Bob Goff, and I'm probably not gonna get this right, but he said basically, like, his biggest fear was like being successful at the wrong things. And the quote is like way more beautiful than that, but I'm paraphrasing. It's like, I used to have a fear of not succeeding, but my fear now is succeeding at the wrong things. And I think about that a lot. Like, what's really gonna matter at the end of my life? And I literally prioritize my life around that.
How do you help people begin to take stock of where they're at with themselves?
Reality. So I have a rehab process, and the first R is reality. It's facing your reality. Too many people run from it. My quote is, you'll never win your war by running from your battles. And so you gotta step up and you gotta face it. I don't care what it is. It might be something in your past. It might suck to face it. For me, it was facing that my dream was over, my identity. So for somebody watching this, it might be a relationship, it might be a job, but I kept running. And the thing about it, like, you can run all you want, but reality is gonna be right there when you stop, and it's gonna chase you. Or even if it doesn't chase you, it's gonna be right there and you have to face it. So I really let people know that acknowledgement is power. People think if I acknowledge that I'm hurt or I need help is the most powerful thing that you can say. And I realized that in my life, because immediately you have people that are gonna help you and grow your life. Exposing yourself, like in a positive way, obviously, but expose yourself. We think that we always have to be so sheltered, that we have to be so strong, especially with the social media world. It's like, oh, I have to have everything together. That's like a silent depression that's gonna happen. When you suppress things like that, when you smile for the camera but die behind the scenes, which I did so well for so long in my life, you're never gonna fool the person that you see in the mirror every single day. So I've gotten really comfortable with saying, I suck at this. I need help. And literally in my business life, in my personal life, in the last year, it's been the greatest year of my life, just by asking for help and exposing my weaknesses in certain areas.
Yeah, it's interesting. Your obsession with authenticity, with being really who you are at all times, I think is really cool to see you get the kind of community that you've gotten around that, being vulnerable and opening yourself up. But what I find really interesting is you're also the flip side of the coin. So as you were talking, I was like, he's absolutely right. But the reason that I'm willing to listen to you about it is because you're also driven. You're trying to improve yourself. You are trying to be great. You are trying to be strong and tough. You're just not afraid.
I'm not afraid.
Yeah. Like, how do you do both?
I'm real with myself, and I'm honest. Like, we're humans. Everybody isn't on all the time. We all have our struggles, our silent battles, as I like to call them. And instead of ignoring those silent battles, I let them out. But yes, I am a person that will tell you, make the world respect your greatness. I'm very firm on that. I'm a person that believes in myself. I'm a person that wants you, because I believe that's contagious. Like, even with social media, I feel like that's what really grew my platform, is people looked at my life, not because of my knowledge or whatever. It's like, Trent really believes this. Like, he really does. He really lives it. He doesn't just talk it or type it. He lives it, and that's a big thing for me. I can tell people a secret, right? Be transparent, like in a real way, because that creates connection. Now it's like, I can relate to that person. Growing up in the church, I'm gonna be real with you, Tom. Like, I would watch pastors and preachers, and I would be like, I could never be them, because it was always perfection. I was like, I could never be them, so I just chose a different lifestyle. But now when I see people like say, you know what, I struggle with this. I struggle with addiction. Doesn't mean you're not awesome because you have addictions. Everybody has addictions. Everybody has battles. Some people just hide theirs better. So I relate more to that because now it becomes attainable. Now you become relatable to me, and I can be like, wow, like I can still go through this. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm a human. I'm gonna have my insecurities, my flaws, and I can actually grow from it. So I think we need more examples of the world of that. And that's what I just try to give people as much as I can.